So the tooth fairy is an interesting dilemma when you're a parent, because right when they're losing teeth, they're supremely gullible. They'll believe basically anything you tell them because they don't have their own sense of the world yet. Their understanding filters through what you deliver to them as a parent, as a trusting parent. So the two of us, we're sitting there saying, what do we do about their lost teeth? So here's what we did. They lose their tooth and say, Mommy, Daddy, what should I do with our tooth? Here's what we did. We said, we heard that if you put it under your pillow, a tooth fairy comes and swaps it out with money. We heard this. We're not sure though. Okay? Said, okay. Then they did that. So they put it in an envelope, put it under the pillow. Next morning, there's money there. Said, look, Mommy, Daddy, the tooth fairy came. And so I asked them, how do you know? And they said, oh, well, there's money there. I said, okay, but how do you know it was a tooth fairy? I said, oh. And so then my kids, for every next tooth, would rig apparatus in their room to detect things that might come in their room overnight. Like put aluminum foil on the grounds because you could hear that crinkle if somebody walks in. And they started rigging all of this. Then at school, they organized a tooth fairy experiment. Someone had the idea that maybe it was the parents who were the tooth fairy. Oh, okay, so how do you test that? Here's how you test it. Anybody whose tooth came out in school, you do not tell your parents about it. You then put that tooth under your pillow and see what happens. And so the next kids whose tooth came out of it, they did this, and the next morning it was still a tooth. And so they busted the tooth fairy legend. So they got to turn a tooth fairy fantasy into a scientific experiment. I don't have a problem with it. And at no time did I say there's no tooth fairy. They figured it out. That's how we deal with the tooth fairy in my household.